Wildcats, today we're going to be adding integers. First, let's take a look at when both integers have the same sign. What we need to do is we need to add the absolute value of the integers. We're going to use the sign that the add-ins have. So let's take a look at what this means. Let's find the sum of each of these. First, we're going to focus on this one that says -2 plus -5. Looking at this problem, -2 is 2 away from 0, plus -5 is 5 away from 0. We're going to add 2 plus 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. However, we need to use the sign. They are both negative, so therefore this is a -7. I can also think about this in terms of dots. If I had 2 blue or negative dots and I add 5 more of those negative dots, how many total do I have? And that answer would be -7. Let's try another example. This is something we've been doing for a while. I have the numbers 8 and 3. When I look at 8 plus 3, I think that 8 is 8 away from 0 and 3 is also 3 away from 0. If you needed to, you could use tallies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 3 more. If you wanted to, you could count all those up and your total would be 11. Let's circle that final answer. Go ahead and I'm going to ask that you pause the video in just a moment and try -12 plus -13. Let's see how you did here. Looking at -12, it is 12 spaces away from 0, and -13 is 13 spaces away from 0. 12 plus 13 gives me the total of 25. Seeing that they both have the same sign, that is negative, my answer should also have a negative sign. Last example for this page, we have -16 and -32. Again, let's find the absolute value. -16 is 16 spaces away from 0. Where -32 is 32 spaces away from 0. Remember, we need to keep the sign of the original numbers. 16 plus 32. If it's helpful, go ahead and line those up. 16 plus 32. 6 plus 2 is 8. 1 plus 3 is 4. Keep the original sign, and my answer is -48. Now, those are going to be the rules we follow when they have the same sign. Let's open it up and look at the inside for when we have different signs. It says when both integers have different signs, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. We're going to use the sign of the greater absolute value. So let's take a look. I have the number 2 and -5. If it's helpful, you can visualize what we have here. I have 2 positives and I have 5 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking at this, which one do I have more of? That's going to be my negatives. This is going to be helpful at the end of the problem. It says we need to subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value. Looking at this, I'm going to say 5 minus 2, and that gives me 3. Now I have to check and use the sign of the greater value. I have more negatives, so I need to use the negative sign. Let's try another example. I'm looking at the question, -8 plus 3. Seeing -8 and 3, I know that -8 has a greater absolute value. I need to subtract 3 from 8. 8 minus 3 gives me 5. Looking at my sign, I have more negatives, so then my answer is also going to be negative. If it's helpful, go ahead and feel free to model it out. Moving on to our next example, I have 15 plus -3. Here, my 15, my positive 15, has a greater absolute value than -3. So now, instead of saying plus -3, I'm saying 15 minus 3, and that gives us 12. My positive number was greater, so then my final answer is going to remain positive. Take a moment and pause and try this next one on your own. Hopefully you realize that 80 has a greater absolute value than negative 50. So really, if we rewrite this problem, we'll say 80 minus 50 gives us 30. Because the value is positive is greater, my answer is going to be a positive answer. What you're going to do at this time is you're going to practice on your own. Please make sure that you follow along with the next video to figure out how to do the next worksheet. Let's take a look at adding integers with a number line. Write an integer addition problem that is represented by the following number lines. So let's take a look at this first example. I see that I'm starting at 0 and I'm adding to the 4, and then it takes me all the way to 9. So using this thought, how can we write a number sentence using these integers? Thinking of a number sentence, I would say that I've gone up 4, so I'm at positive 4. Getting to positive 4, what would I need to do to get to 9? Well, what am I going to have to add? I'm going to have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 plus 5 gives me the total 9. Let's try another example. This problem, I see that I've started at 0, but I'm actually starting at 2. So I'm going to say 2 plus, because we're adding integers, 2 plus what is going to get me to the final answer of negative 4. I want to count how many places I go back. If I'm going backwards, that tells me that I'm adding a negative integer. So I have to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 plus negative 6 equals negative 4. I want you to take a moment and try number 3 and then check back to see if you get it correct. In this problem, I see that I'm at negative 3, 1, 2, negative 3, plus what is going to get me to negative 10? Negative 3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus negative 7 is going to give me a negative 10. I just added two integers that were both negative, making my final answer also negative. What you're going to do now is you're going to do problems 4 through 8 independently. You can do it.